Assalamu alaikum. I'm Aksa Tariq, and on behalf of the CXO Media team and CXO Masters Academy, I'd like to welcome all of you to Cyber Sectober 2021. This is a comprehensive series of talks, panels, masterclasses, making it one of the most comprehensive of sessions on cybersecurity in Pakistan. So I would like to quickly move on to our masterclass with CIO Engro Corporation, Mr. Azhar Nawaz. This session will be led by Mr. Abdul Sabur, who is one of the co-founders of CISO Forum, our partners in Cyber Sectober, in helping us produce this virtual series. Sabur Saab, I'll leave it on to you.
Thank you, Aksa. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Mr. Nawaz, for joining us for this masterclass. So basically, as industrial systems are becoming more connected, they are becoming more prone to and more exposed to vulnerabilities that lead to cyber threats or risks for that matter. The high cost of industrial equipment and the devastation to communities and economies that an attack would or could generate are the key factors for organizations looking to protect their industrial networks. Industrial organizations need rapid and measurable improvements to their ICS security programs to defend against the emerging cyber threats and demonstrate maturity in progress. The attacks on ICS are growing in not only in number, but also in sophistication each year, from month to month, from quarter to quarter. The potential financial impacts from these attacks are in parallel growing as well. Just let's say for a few examples, like major attacks on on organizations like Colonial Pipeline, like JBS Meat Plant, and an attempt to poison Florida's city water supply have served us as harsh reminders about the necessity to build better strategies with regards to operational technology. However, companies and organizations, critical infrastructures looking to increase their cyber defenses or improve their defenses postures are often overwhelmed with the landscape of security solutions out there. Having said that, we have with us seasoned leader like Mr. Azhar Nawaz, who serves as Group CIO at Engro Corporation. Thank you, Mr. Azhar, for joining us for this session. Where would you see organizations or critical infrastructures to the trigger point, the point to begin with on OT cybersecurity, as we can all see that this is still an emerging field, an area of improvement where organizations are seen to improve their transactions on ICS overall?
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for leading question, Abdul Sabur Saab. First of all, I would like to say hello to the leadership who is sitting there. I can see Khwaja Tanveer Salim, I can see Abdul Samad, and the seasoned leaders from the IT and IS industry. So I'm happy to be part of this discussion. I actually, when I joined, Stephen was talking about a lot of good stuff, and I felt that maybe I have joined a little late. This discussion Stephen was doing is very, very relevant to what we are doing these days. IT and OT convergence, which Stephen was talking about, we cannot live without IT and OT convergence. We can't live under a rock today. We need to connect IT and OT for all sorts of reasons, for intelligence and for data-driven decision making and all that. So this convergence is important. But the problem is that in terms of IT, if you are under attack, the consequences could be loss of data, loss of service, and other things. But in terms of OT, if you become under attack, there are serious consequences, right? So you cannot take OT security lightly. So what we are doing at Engro is today we have started a comprehensive program. Remember, the information security, both in terms of IT and OT, should actually be done with the business perspective, right? So what we have done is at Engro we realized that we need to work on this IT OT convergence, and for that, before we do anything, we need our defense up. So what we did, we have created a forum, internal forum, where all the we are a conglomerate and a group, and we have got representation from everywhere. The first thing which we are doing on this is we are working on a governance framework. So I think this is a lesson learned. Wherever you want to do this, whoever wants to do this initiative, I would recommend the first thing is put some governance around it, especially when you talk about security. So we started from there. We have developed a governance framework, and based on that, we are looking to conduct our assessment, cybersecurity assessment of all our OT setups. We are in the middle of that. Once we complete our assessment of different manufacturing units, we'll know the gaps. We'll try and fill those gaps, and then we'll say, okay, now let's converge. Let's do whatever we want to do on top of this, and we can leverage on top of that.
Great. Exactly. See, digital transformation is actually an important part of every organization, enterprise these days. And rightly said, I mean, all of these technologies kicking up and implementations going on around, further integrating them and embedding them to each other, like machines talking to machines and applications talking to applications. How do you see, you rightly said that IT and OT should be converged together. However, how do you see this ideally being managed? Because we have different divisions or different governance officers or departments taking care of IT, different people taking care of OT, where they are more involved with the plants and manufacturing units. How do you see this ideally being managed between both ends?
So this is a great question. If you address this challenge, I think you're halfway there. So what we did is, if you ask me today, am I OT expert? I would not claim that. I've spent a lot of time in IT and stuff, and that's my core. But there are people in the organization who understand OT better than I do. So you need a collaboration. You need a collaborative group, which is where I said that when we started, we made a council, and I'm leading that council. But we have people from OT, we have people from IT, we have people from our IS. One thing which you can't do is you can't split IT security or IS security or OT security. It has to be one. It has to be one organization. You can't have two different CISOs looking at IT and OT. You can't have two CIOs, one looking at IT, one looking at OT. You need one organization. Right. So your information security needs to look at both, right? So when you create the governance framework, you clearly spell roles and responsibilities of manufacturing unit, people on the ground, IS setup, IT setup, and then you create a governance council and you work around that. So that's why I said framework is very important. Your governance is very important. Once you put that in place, the three pillars of security, how you defend yourself from at the parameter and at the endpoint, and how you monitor what's happening. So these are three things which you need to look at. So I was recently visiting Jitex, and I saw how DIVA is doing their SOC. So they have their SOC where they have IT, OT, and IoT, and they're monitoring all of them together and integrated all of them in one SOC, right? So this is the way forward. You cannot do security in silos.
But then again, the challenges of when we talk about OT, we're talking about enterprises. So placing sensors literally with every device, we still need to hardcode or fine tune the processes or procedures to get the right alerts, to get the right use cases being triggered. And I think that's one way forward, rightly said over there. But how do you see organizations, when we talk about enterprises, we talk about core applications, we talk about industrial systems which are distributed. Challenges like being distributed or having multi-vendor legacy environments, having operations done 24/7, sensitive devices, risk of scanning at sectors. So all of these risks actually pile up. And having all that in your basket, I mean, how do you see organizations having a better visibility to foresee foresee these attacks and move forward with addressing those risks predictably and addressing them before they happen?
So, look, you cannot, I can't claim, no one can claim that we are 100% secure. And we also can't claim that we have mitigated all the risks. Sometimes, you have to decide, and it's, the metrics, you need to look at impact, severity, and you need to decide, okay, what are the risks I need to mitigate? What are the risks I can accept? And then what are the risks which I can transfer, right? So
exactly.
So the environment which we have, especially if I talk about my organization, is very complex. We have different business lines. We have within different business lines, we have critical and very varied service, different service lines and different value streams, even within those business lines. And the work which we are doing is very critical, and it's essential for Pakistan, like for our food vertical, our energy vertical, our LNG vertical,
yeah.
or anything you pick up with what Engro is doing is all essential for our environment, is all essential for Pakistan. So we need to make sure that whatever we are doing, we are protected against the risks which can disrupt our production environment, which can disrupt our services and stuff. So how you can address this? One thing which we are trying and we're looking to guard against is in terms of OT environment, there are different OEMs, and the OEMs have their own systems. And if you talk to them and say, oh, this is where I want to integrate your system with, and this is my strategy, and I want to bring data from all different devices at one place, they will probably point a lot of risks, and they will say, okay, there's this risk, that risk. This is my product which you can use, which would be, it would be very difficult to afford. So these are the challenges which we need to understand and take forward. And when the different industry leaders are sitting here, the need of the day, which I feel, is that in terms of our environment, in Pakistan, I think there is a way forward where we can all collaborate, and we should all collaborate, develop synergies, and then bring all our expertise on the table, and also bring all our problems on the table, and maybe look to create a central model, create a central SOC which can probably serve all of them, all the needs of different organizations. I mean, if you ask me today, I can't make an in-house SOC. I can't keep those sort of resources. I can't keep the training up. It's very, very difficult. So I have to outsource certain services. And today I have no options here. So I have to outsource outside Pakistan. So a lot of things we have to outsource to service providers outside Pakistan, and it has its inherent risk also. Your data goes, and I have seen I have previous experience where we have seen that some of these cloud service companies, it becomes risk when they have all of your data. So I think a collaboration between different industries and between IT leadership, sit together, maybe work out and find a solution together.
Exactly. I think, regional or sectoral committees or communities need to be designed, and put forward in place to let the leaders talk about the challenges and find a way together out of it. But then your recent point has actually raised a very a new discussion here, which takes us to the next level or next phase of this discussion, which also concerns with the digital resilience. When we talk about IT, we have resilient systems. We have ERPs, we have different servers, we have different modules, applications, and plugins, which can have sort of resilience and a failover system. However, when we talk about OT and manufacturing with industrial units, with distributed units, with PLCs, how do you see this sort of resilience and like you rightly mentioned, OEM systems? These are coded, designed, specified by the vendors, which are, probably also custom tailored for your organization. How do you see resilience kicking up in this area?
So you very rightly mentioned. In terms of IT security, we can have different layers around. We can put different layers around availability. We can bring redundancy, we can bring clustering in, and there are a lot of such options. In terms of OT, there are certain resilience built into the OT systems. They are of course there, but in terms of defending against attack, I think the discussion which Stephen was doing was very, very interesting in terms of how you create zones and how you separate systems,
right,
and how you keep up with the patches and stuff and updates. This is very, very important to keep up with the updates and patches. I think this is something which I have learned in my recent role and the roles before also, that if you keep up with your patching and updates, I think you're protected against lot of attacks. It can't be 100%. But if you are protected against, if you keep up with the patches, especially the virtual patching, which Stephen was talking about, is something which has really, really helped us in protecting against a lot of attacks.
And I think we're also moving towards different eras from time to time, and multiple things come up with and forward to the ICS industry and the industrial revolution 4.0, 5.0. I think we're moving towards bringing humans more closely connected to technology, and also helps us with resilience to all these processes. So I think we're left with very little time here, and the information that you have provided was very informative. And I would personally love to work with an organization like your esteemed organization soon to actually go through all this. I work mostly throughout the GCC region in the Middle East market with organizations. I have a few petrochemical organizations that I work with with perspective to cybersecurity. So all of this is providing us all with a great learning edge and a better way to move forward for the nation.
Yeah, it would be great to connect, and this is a journey which we have also recently started, because but you can't live without this convergence. You can't say, okay, I'll air gap my OT systems and I'll keep them separate in an island and then it will keep on working. That time has long gone now. So we need this convergence, and for that we need to develop defenses, because in terms of OT, the loss against cyber attacks is real. It can be even loss of life. So I think this is something which we need to focus on, and which is why before we started working on IT/OT convergence, we started working on the OT cybersecurity initiative. And once we feel that okay, we have plugged all the gaps, all the known gaps, then we can say, let's connect this and let's move forward, and then bring technologies like the digital twin and other, where you can do preventive maintenance and all other things. But without integration of IT and OT and all these technologies, the future of manufacturing would become difficult.
Right. Correct. Security by design, all of that takes that perspective, which provides an attribute for organizations like yourself to move forward in the right direction. Okay. With that, we come to the end of this session. Thank you, Mr. Azhar, for providing us all these great enlightening tips for us, for the joiners, for the viewers, for the listeners, and learning from you, from seasoned leaders like yourself.
Most welcome. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm really privileged to be in the room with all the leaders.